The desperate call. The signal came on an ordinary Tuesday. Commander Sarah Jensen was halfway through her shift at the Europa Deep Space Monitoring Facility when the alert flashed across her console. Abnormal signal pattern detected. Origin: HD 85,512, approximately 36 light-years from Earth. Run verification protocol, Jensen ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. The facility had picked up unusual signals before: quasars, pulsars, various cosmic phenomena that initially registered as artificial. This would likely be another false alarm. Lieutenant Marcus Chen's fingers flew across his terminal. Verification complete. This isn't natural, Commander. Jensen leaned forward, her coffee forgotten. Defined pattern. Repeating sequence. Both, Chen confirmed. And there's more. He hesitated. It's modulating in response to our automated handshake protocol. The room fell silent. Earth had been broadcasting various mathematical sequences and basic communication protocols into space for decades. If something was responding specifically to those patterns, get Director Okafor, Jensen said quietly, and inform the Security Council. We've got first contact. Within hours, the Europa facility was swarming with experts from every field: linguists, mathematicians, physicists, military personnel, and government officials. The message was being decoded in real time, the alien signal revealing itself to contain complex mathematical formulas interwoven with what appeared to be a rudimentary translation matrix. They're teaching us how to understand them, explained Dr. Aisha Hassan, the facility's chief linguist. It's brilliant, really. They've analyzed our broadcast patterns and constructed a bridge between our communication systems. 3 days later, they had their first translation. The message played on screens around the world. To the species of the third planet, we are the Novali of HD 85,512. Our civilization faces extinction. The Vargan Imperium has targeted our system for resource extraction. 3 of our colony worlds have already been stripped. Our homeworld will be next. We have no weapons to match theirs. Our technology cannot save us. We detected your transmissions and believe you may help. We offer knowledge in exchange for assistance. Please respond. Attached to the message were star charts, technological schematics, and biological information about the Novali, a species that resembled Earth's cephalopods, but with highly developed neural structures. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Debates raged across Earth. This could be a trap, Admiral Harrison warned during the closed session. Some elaborate ruse to draw us into revealing ourselves or our capabilities. The Novali have already provided us with technological insights beyond our current understanding, countered Dr. Elisa Vargas, head of Earth's scientific coalition. If they wanted to harm us, why give us knowledge that could potentially strengthen us? Because even with these advances, we'd be hopelessly outmatched against the technology they described the Vargan possessing. Harrison shot back. We'd be walking into an interstellar war we can't win. Meanwhile, public opinion was sharply divided. Some saw a moral obligation to help a species in need. Others feared drawing the attention of a seemingly ruthless spacefaring empire to Earth. Religious leaders contemplated the theological implications of alien life. Military strategists assessed Earth's woefully inadequate defenses. Jensen found herself unexpectedly central to the debate, having been the commanding officer when the signal was detected. In a private meeting with Secretary General Amara Osei, she delivered her assessment. The Novali aren't warriors, Jensen explained. Their biology, their technology, even the way they structured their message, everything suggests a species that evolved prioritizing cooperation over competition. They're builders, thinkers, creators. Their FTL communication technology alone could revolutionize our understanding of physics. And you believe their distress is genuine? Osei asked. Jensen nodded. Every analysis supports it. They're desperate, and they're reaching out to a civilization they know almost nothing about because they have no other options. After 2 weeks of intense debate, Earth made its decision. In a historic United broadcast, Secretary General OC delivered humanity's response to the novelty of HD 85,512. We are humanity of Earth. We have received your call for help. Though we are young among the stars and our technology is limited, we will not abandon you in your time of need. We are sending aid. Hold fast. You are no longer alone. The response was symbolic at best. Earth's fastest spacecraft would take decades to reach the Novaly system through conventional means. But Dr. Vargas and her team had been working around the clock, studying the technical specifications the Novaly had shared. They'd given us the theoretical framework for a functional FTL communication system, Vargas explained to the Emergency Coalition. While we can't build ships that travel faster than light yet, we believe we can adapt our existing fusion drive vessels with a modified version of their technology to achieve approximately 15% light speed. That would still mean Admiral Harrison began calculating just under 15 years to reach them, Vargas confirmed. But we've detected a pattern in the Vargan expansion the Novaly described. They move methodically, terraforming and stripping one planet at a time. Based on their previous pace, the Novaly homeworld has perhaps 20 years before the Vargan reach it. The plan that emerged was unprecedented in human history. 5 of Earth's most advanced vessels would be retrofitted with the hybrid human Novaly technology. Each would carry a multinational crew of scientists, engineers, and military personnel, not as a fighting force, but as problem solvers. We can't match the Vargan militarily, Jensen explained in her briefing to the volunteer crews. She had been given command of the flagship, the UES Horizon. But the Novaly chose to contact us specifically. They've observed our transmissions, our history. They see something in humanity they believe can help them. What could that possibly be? Asked Lieutenant Sara Patel, the Horizon's chief engineer. We're centuries behind the technology they've described. Commander Jensen smiled. Necessity, Lieutenant. Humans have a unique talent for doing the impossible when our backs are against the wall. The Novaly are brilliant, but they're methodical, logical. From what we can tell, the Vargan are similar, highly advanced but predictable. We're going to bring something neither of them expects. And what's that, Commander? Human unpredictability. Innovation born from desperation. Our entire history is filled with moments where we should have failed, but didn't because we refused to accept the parameters of the problem. Jensen looked around at her crew. The Novaly need us not despite our technological limitations, but because of the ingenuity those limitations have forced us to develop. As the 5 vessels prepared for departure, humanity united in purpose as never before. Global conflicts were suspended. Resources that had been dedicated to weaponry and national defense were redirected toward the mission. Children born that year would be teenagers by the time the fleet reached its destination. The launch was broadcast worldwide. 5 ships, representing Earth's first interstellar humanitarian mission, accelerated away from their home planet. Their journey would be long, the outcome uncertain, but Earth had committed to helping a species they had never met. As the Europa facility continued receiving and translating messages from the Novaly, one transmission stood out. After learning of Earth's response and the fleet's departure, the Novaly sent, "We did not expect you would come. The Vargan would not. This is why we reached to you instead of closer systems. Our observations of your transmissions showed us something unique, a species that values compassion alongside survival. We will share all we know while you journey. Perhaps together, we will find a way to survive." Commander Jensen read the message in her quarters aboard the Horizon as the ship accelerated past Mars. 15 years was a long time to travel toward an uncertain confrontation. But as Earth receded behind them, becoming just another point of light in the vast darkness, she felt a resolve that outweighed her fear. Humanity was venturing into the stars not for conquest or exploration, but to answer a call for help. Whatever awaited them at HD 85,512, they would face it together, humans and Novaly. united by the simple belief that compassion could transcend the boundaries between worlds. Unexpected strength. 14 years, 8 months, and 23 days after leaving Earth, the human fleet entered the HD 85,512 system. Only 4 ships made the journey. The UES Endeavour had suffered catastrophic drive failure 3 years in, forcing its crew to transfer to the remaining vessels before its reactor went critical. Commander Sarah Jensen, now with strands of gray threading her once dark hair, stood on the bridge of the horizon as the gas giant that marked the system's outer boundary came into view on their sensors. "All ships report ready, Commander," Lieutenant Chen announced. He'd remained her right hand throughout the long journey, his youthful enthusiasm tempered but not extinguished by the passage of time. "Begin deceleration sequence," Jensen ordered, "and open a channel using the Novali protocols." The journey had not been idle. Throughout the years, Earth and the Novali had maintained constant communication. Human scientists had learned more about physics, biology, and mathematics in a decade than in the previous century. In return, humanity had shared something the Novali found endlessly fascinating: their art, literature, music, and most importantly, their history of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. While the humans traveled, the Vargan had continued their methodical advance. 2 more Novali colony worlds had fallen. The homeworld was now directly in their path. "Channel open," Chen reported. Jensen took a deep breath. "This is Commander Sarah Jensen of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We've arrived as promised and are approaching your system." The response was immediate. "Human vessels, this is Telesir of the Novali Council. Your arrival brings hope, but you must approach with caution. Vargan scout ships patrol our outer system. We are sending coordinates for a safe approach vector." The fleet altered course, using the gas giant's magnetic field to mask their signatures as they made their way deeper into the system. As they approached the Novali homeworld, a blue-green planet with sprawling oceans covering over 70% of its surface, the full scale of the situation became clear. Novali structures were primarily underwater or floating on vast platforms. Their cities were architectural marvels, organic-looking structures that seemed to flow rather than stand. But surrounding the planet was evidence of their desperation: a hastily constructed orbital network of satellites and stations, a final defense line that would barely slow the Vargan advance. Representatives of the Novali Council welcomed the human delegation aboard their primary orbital platform. The aliens were as the transmissions had shown: cephalopod-like beings with multiple manipulating limbs, skin that shifted colors with their emotions, and large, intelligent eyes. What the transmissions hadn't conveyed was their movement, graceful despite the lower gravity they maintained for the humans' comfort. "We feared you might reconsider during your long journey." Telesir's skin rippled with blue-green patterns as she addressed Jensen. Like many Novali, she had adopted a feminized identifier after studying human language. "The Vargan fleet will arrive within 1 standard year. Their resource extraction vessels are already in the outer system, analyzing our gas giants." "We're here as promised," Jensen replied. "Now show us everything you know about the Vargan. Their technology, tactics, weaknesses, anything that might help." The information was simultaneously encouraging and devastating. The Vargan were indeed technologically superior to both humans and Novali. Their ships possessed energy weapons capable of reducing a planet's surface to molten slag. Their defensive systems could repel any conventional attack the humans might mount. But they weren't infallible. The Vargan operated with absolute confidence in their technological superiority, making them predictable. They followed the same patterns in every system they conquered: establish orbital dominance, neutralize any defensive capabilities, then begin systematic resource extraction. They never deviated from their methodical approach because they'd never needed to. "They don't expect resistance," Lieutenant Potil observed during the strategy session. "They certainly don't expect any tactics they haven't seen before." "Exactly," Jensen agreed. "And that's our opening." The plan that emerged over the following months was unconventional at best, suicidal at worst. While the Novali continued strengthening their orbital defenses, now augmented with human innovations, the Earth ships began a series of modifications that left the Novali engineers perplexed. "You're removing defensive systems," Telesur questioned as she observed the humans working on the UES Aurora. "We're replacing them with something better," explained Chief Engineer Patel. "Your power distribution systems are more efficient than ours. We're adapting them to create something the Vargan won't expect." The Novali scientists were brilliant partners, quick to understand human concepts once explained, but they struggled with the humans' approach to problem-solving. Where the Novali sought perfect, elegant solutions, the humans embraced imperfect but functional ones. Where the Novali saw insurmountable technological gaps, the humans saw opportunities for asymmetrical tactics. When the Vargan advance fleet finally arrived, 7 massive ships that dwarfed anything in the human or Novali arsenal, they transmitted a single message: surrender your world for proper resource allocation or face extinction. Jensen had expected such arrogance. "Send our response," she ordered. The message that went out was simple: "We decline." The confusion was evident in the Vargan's hesitation. They had encountered resistance before, but never from a species facing such obvious technological disadvantage. Their ships moved into standard attack formation, preparing to neutralize the orbital defenses as they always did. "They're powering weapons," Chen reported. "Execute Phase 1, Jensen commanded. The modified Novali satellites activated, but instead of attempting to defend against the Vargan weapons directly, they performed a specific function. They amplify Earth's oldest electronic warfare technique, radar jamming, adapted using Novali quantum principles. The resulting electromagnetic pulse wasn't powerful enough to disable the Vargan ships, but it disrupted their targeting systems just long enough for the next phase. Phase 2, Jensen ordered. The 4 Earth ships, which had been hiding in the planet's shadow, accelerated at full burn. They weren't aiming for the Vargan vessels, however. Instead, they targeted the massive extraction equipment the Vargan had already begun positioning near the system's asteroid belt. "The Vargan are responding," Chen announced. 3 ships breaking formation to intercept. "As expected," Jensen nodded. "Novali defense grid, execute Phase 3. While the human ships had occupied the Vargan attention, the Novali had been positioning thousands of small, unmanned drones throughout their orbital defense network. Individually, each was harmless. Together, guided by a distributed intelligence system designed by human and Novali engineers, they swarmed toward the Vargan flagship. The alien vessels easily destroyed hundreds of the drones, but there were thousands more. They weren't attempting to breach the Vargan hulls, an impossible task. Instead, they attached themselves to specific points on the Vargan ship's outer hulls, where sensors and communication arrays were located. Then they detonated. The specialized explosives had been designed based on a human mining technology, adapted using Novali molecular engineering. The resulting reaction didn't damage the Vargan ships structurally, but created a crystalline growth that spread across their sensor arrays, effectively blinding them. Phase 4, Jensen commanded as the Earth ships reached the extraction equipment. Each vessel launched dozens of modified fusion missiles, not at the equipment itself, but at the surrounding asteroid field. The resulting chain reaction sent thousands of fragments hurtling through space, creating a navigational hazard that would take months to clear. The extraction equipment, highly sensitive and precisely calibrated, was rendered useless by the debris impact. The battle wasn't won, far from it. The Vargan still possessed overwhelming firepower, but for the first time in their expansionist history, they faced an enemy that didn't play by the expected rules. Their perfectly coordinated attack dissolved into confusion as their sensors malfunctioned, their communication was disrupted, and their carefully positioned equipment was compromised. After 3 days of chaotic engagement, during which the human Novali alliance used every unconventional tactic they could devise, from repurposing Novali atmospheric processors to create localized spatial distortions, to using modified communication buoys to feed false data to Vargan navigational systems. The unexpected happened. The Vargan fleet withdrew to the system's edge. A transmission came through on all frequencies. This extraction zone requires reassessment. Resistance exceeds acceptable resource expenditure parameters. The orbital platform erupted in celebrations as the Vargan ships disappeared into FTL. Jensen didn't join immediately, calling an urgent meeting with Telesur and the other leaders. "They'll be back," she warned, "with more ships and adapted tactics." This wasn't a victory, just a reprieve. But it was something they've never experienced before. Telesur's skin pulsed with colors Jensen had learned to recognize as excitement. The Vargan operate on strict efficiency principles. Every resource must justify its expenditure. You forced them to recalculate the value of our world against the cost of taking it. "We've bought time," Jensen agreed. "Maybe a year, maybe more. We need to use it wisely." The collaboration deepened in the months that followed. Earth sent more ships, carrying scientists and engineers eager to work with the Novae. The Novae, in turn, began to incorporate human approaches into their thinking, learning to value improvisation alongside precision. 3 years later, when the Vargan returned with a fleet twice the size of the first, they found not a desperate civilization awaiting extinction, but a united force that had transformed the entire system into an integrated defense network. The battle that followed lasted weeks rather than days, but the outcome remained the same. The cost of conquest had been raised beyond what the Vargan were willing to pay. In time, other species who had suffered under Vargan expansion saw out this unusual alliance. The humans and Novae welcomed them, creating a coalition founded not on military might, but on the principle that diverse approaches to problem-solving created resilience that even the most advanced technology couldn't overcome. Commander Jensen, now Ambassador Jensen, often reflected on the desperate message that had reached Earth so many years ago. The Novae had sought help from humans, not because they believed humans could outfight the Vargan, but because they had recognized something in humanity's transmissions that they lacked: the ability to face impossible odds with creativity rather than resignation. In return, humanity had gained not just advanced knowledge, but something equally valuable: proof that they weren't alone in the universe, and that their unique way of thinking had a vital place among the stars. When the first human colony was established in the Novae system, the monument at its center bore inscriptions in both human and Novae languages. From different worlds, we found common purpose. From desperate circumstances, we forged lasting friendship. Together, we reached for the stars, stronger than we could ever be alone.